What up, fam? It's good to be here. This is my debut with the faith community. Thanks for joining today. This is I just need a minute. And lately it's been I just need a second. I just need a week or a month. And so I'm just gonna wait for people to come on. Hopefully everybody had a great day. It's been having a great week. Um, and I just want to be able to talk about something that has been kind of like uh ongoing conversation. Everything has been going crazy. Like things have been uh, just been upside down for some people. And I wanted to talk about our emotions and our feelings and in the context of our faith. Now, I'm totally getting it from a perspective of my own faith. I'm like, a colleague said, I'm like Christian adjacent. Like, I have a foundation. My foundation and my upbringing was in Christianity. But as I grew into my faith, it's more become spirituality integrated and everything. What's up, Jeannie? Hi, Kristen. Um, and one of the things that have been on my mind is this whole thing about emotions and feelings. We're living in some bugged out times right now. Like before the pandemic, before everything, the lockdown came up, I would get excited with, meeting up with friends or going out with my partner to go and have a good meal at a new restaurant. And that would bring me joy. And ever since I've been locked down, I mean, nowadays I get joy from finding like disinfectant wipes or hand sanitizer. So it's just uh it's just our way to trying to look for answers. So um we're living in confusing times too. And these times are very emotional. And because of this quarantine, some people are feeling like health effects from it. So you got people dealing with mental health issues. A lot of domestic violence has been on the rise, occurrence and reoccurrence of substance use, PTSD, anxiety, like all this stuff. So everything is bubbling up and overflowing. And for those of us who identify with some faith or religion, sometimes we're conflicted with our emotions and our faith. And we probably came across some people that tells us, well, aren't you a Christian? Aren't you whatever? If you get angry, as if that means that I can't have feelings. And sometimes like I grew up in Pentecostalism, and whenever people would feel depressed or sad, it would be like, well, there's something that you must not be doing, or you must not be praying hard enough. um and that doesn't help, right? What that creates is repression of your emotions, and emotions is part of our human experience. So if emotions were so bad, why is the Bible like all full of stories of people with emotions and reacting to things that seem unfair or seem to be painful? I think about the time that Jesus and Lazarus, right? Jesus, they Mary and Martha was like, "Yo, my brother's sick. You got to come now and heal him." And Jesus was like, I got you, I got you. But he waited. And then when he finally appeared, I could imagine that people were like peed off. Like everybody was mourning, including Mary and Martha. And I could just imagine there'd be like, I asked you a couple of days ago to come and save my brother, and now you come here. They even tell Jesus, like, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. Like they were completely hopeless and completely angry, and they were hoping for a miracle of healing, but their minds didn't really comprehend the actual thing of like coming back to life. And the interesting thing is like Martha says, but even now. And every time that I read text or anything, that word but kind of signals a transition, like something different is going to happen. And I know like it's in the midst of despair and anger. Even Martha was like, I know you missed your boat. I know you kind of flat left us, but even now, something could be done. And even Jesus was like, he knew what he was going to do. I mean, for those of us that believe it, it believe in his divinity, he's like, he's been doing some miracles. So like, even though he knew what he was about to do, Jesus felt pain. Jesus expresses his own emotions about the situation. He feels the pain with them. He's saddened. He associated with death. Some commentators, they say that, he knows what tragedy is. So if Jesus felt sadness for his friend Lazarus and his family's pain, if Jesus felt angry, remember the whole flipping the tables and wilding out in the temple? And if Jesus felt scared when he was in the garden and sweat and blood, and he knew everything that he can do, can that mean that I can feel emotions, that we can feel emotions too, and also carry our faith in the other hand? So I'm thinking like lament and versus despair. When we feel despair, we can respond in two ways, right? Total abandonment or crying out loud. It reminds me of like Psalm 13 when it says like, how much longer? And I can imagine the person that wrote that was like asking, like in my translation, like, WTF, God, like, what is the deal? I'm here suffering and it feels like you forgot me. How much longer must I bear pain in my soul? My enemies, my haters, they're loving that they got me all shook. And in Psalm 20, and the others, Psalm 22, it says like, my God, why have you forsaken me? Now, that's the same stuff that Jesus said when he was in the middle of his pain and suffering. And we can go through all these stories of like Hannah longing for a son and weeping bitterly, and even Job when he's pain and in anger and confusion and questioning. It's all about it. He even calls his friends miserable comforters. Like, dang. And so when people say, well, you can't feel depression, you can't feel anger or sadness, you must have done something wrong, that doesn't help. As a spiritual caregiver myself, I have to be mindful not to be judgmental of another person's pain. We have to walk alongside the afflicted and bring help and prayer of lament to the voice. There was an author that I wrote. He's actually the translator of the Message, the Bible, the Message. And he says that pastors have no business interfering with another's sorrow or manipulating it. Suffering is an event in which we are particularly vulnerable to grace. To treat it as a problem is to demean a person. Family, we must come to a space where we can allow ourselves to feel the feels. Give permission to feel emotions. We're made in God's image. And if we have emotions, it means God has those emotions too. So emotions are holy, even the ones that don't feel all that great. Now, there's a balance that we have to have, right? If we repress all of our emotions, it's damaging. And then also staying in the trenches of emotions, that's damaging too. So we got to find a balance. And how do we do that? We understand that we're not alone. We were never made to go through life alone. We're relational beings. Whatever emotion you're feeling right now, whatever anguish that you're going through, someone has felt the same ones. So we may feel alone, and that's natural, but we're not alone. Feeling emotions is not going to piss God off. If that was the case, then a lot of stories in the Bible wouldn't be there, because there were so many people who were blessed and were hot messes. And we got to believe that if God is so powerful and the spirit and the universe is so powerful, it's not going to separate us from God. If you look at the Christian text, the scripture in Romans, it says, who will separate us from the love of God? Who? What? Nothing's going to separate us from the love of God. It says nothing, nor angels, nor rulers, no things present, no those things that are going to come are going to separate us from the love of God. So feel your feels. Bacteria can only grow in the shadows. So if we repress our emotions, for fear of being punished. It keeps them in the shadows and allows it to grow and fester, and then you start popping off for nothing. The minute we can bring those emotions to the light, it can be so freeing. You may not still feel great, you may still feel awful, but giving yourself permission, allowing yourself to feel all your feels without shame, without guilt, is freeing in and of itself. Reach out to one another. We're all connected to a source of love that is healing, it's liberating. We know of a spirit that offers comfort during pain. That spirit lives in each one of us too. If we want to believe something called like the body of Christ, like the union of humanity, we can offer hope through the hopeless, through times when we're not feeling all that great. The spirit within us, the spirit of God, can offer hope to all of us. And you are not wrong for feeling your feels. You're not bad for doing that. You're human. We were made for that. And the comforting thing about it is that Jesus was human too. So he knows exactly what we go through. He knows the pain. He knows the sorrow. He knows anger. He knows emotions. So turn to spirit. Turn to your higher power. Turn to whatever thing embodies love, and it will be comforting. It may not solve the problem at the moment, but you got that comfort knowing that you have something bigger than you that got your back, and we got one another as siblings in the faith to carry us through. Even if you don't see it now, things will get better. Think about the times that you've been through stuff, and it's like, damn, I got through that. So in the meantime, in the waiting of hope, feel your emotions, feel the feels. It's only going to bring you closer to that source of love. Just because we have a faith, just because we follow a message or we do solidarity and social justice, doesn't mean that we can't also feel. Even our leaders, our religious leaders, our pastors, they need to be pastored too. So let's try to offer each other that permission and that comfort and that safe space to feel emotions, and understand that that is part of your journey, that is part of your faith. Bring it in. Understand that you're not wrong for doing that. So that's my message today. Give yourself permission to be human. Give yourself permission to be loved. It's dumb scary. Tell me about it. Like, sometimes I get into those things where I'm like, I don't feel that willingness to open up. But the truth of the matter is like, we're all in it together. We may be in different boats, but we're riding the same current. So we got to have each other's back. So as a resource, I want to offer you another way to reach out. I personally am working as a crisis counselor on a care line, and sometimes we may not feel all that great, and usually those emotions come in the middle of the night. In the daytime, we may call our homeboys, homegirls, and we may reach out to pastors and everything else in the daytime. But sometimes when you're in the middle of the night and waking up at 2 o'clock in the morning with like anxiety or anything like that, you may not feel that ability to reach out. So you can call the care line. We are trained spiritual counselors, given that ear. We're not proselytizing, we're not converting. If you're lonely, if you're sad, if you're depressed, if you just want to chat, if you just anything, we can talk about anything. They're based in San Francisco. They're open and affirming. The number is 844 HOPE, the number 4 SF. Just give us a call. I hope that you can give yourself permission to feel that feels. Thank you, fam. Thank you for the faith community for trusting me and my technological weirdness to be part of this community. This community has been such a blessing to me, especially during this time. And I'm a pandemic member, and I'm really grateful for both Christian and Pamela, and for the rest of the faith community, and for all of you. Be well, be safe, and God bless.